The news doesn't seem to be getting any better. So before we face another difficult and challenging week, let's try and squeeze another wee bit of whiskey fun. I was hoping for something a bit better than that at the weekend. Hello, whiskey folk. Welcome, everyone. How are you all? Just let me finish pouring a refreshing drink this evening. Wonderful to see you all. Welcome to another extended opening, another vPub on a Sunday evening, just to try and bring a little bit of community, a little bit of fellowship, a little bit of togetherness around a dram, or if you're not having a dram, maybe just some whiskey chat and some community chat. These are difficult times. The news does not seem to be getting any better as the days tick by. We seem to be, generally, we haven't hit the peak yet. We haven't hit the worst of this. But of course, in the vPub, we can leave that behind for a little while. Always remain mindful of it, of course, but leave it behind for a little while and just relax for a little bit. Welcome, everybody. Fantastic to see so many of you in. I'm excited to try and have a wee bit of a more relaxed thing tonight, this Sunday night, and just kind of try and squeeze a wee bit more fun out of what's been a really fantastic weekend, honestly, a wonderful weekend after a very busy day at the Lockdown Whiskey Festival. Honestly, I feel tonight refreshed and awake, but comfortable. People were nervous and messaging me about burnout and things like that, and Patreon, and because I've gone from making 2 vPubs a month to doing 2 a week just now. But I mean, it's really the only thing I can do. Like so many of you, I'm stuck at home as well, and this is the least I can do. It keeps me active, it keeps my mind busy, and it keeps the positive vibes flowing. Let me share with you quickly what I'm sipping. You'll hear it rattling around. This is something I love to have from time to time. I think this is just a highball. It's basically whiskey and soda. That was the soda. I was trying to make it fizz a little bit at the intro there, but it was a bit of a damp squib, I'm afraid. This is not a damp squib. This is probably my favourite blend right now. It's really bright and fresh. It's great for sipping as well. You can easily sip this. It's only 40% being a blend, of course. But this is the Cato's blended Scotch whisky. This is from Inverhouse. It's not very common. You don't see it often, but you can find it. You can pick it up here and there. Quite an attractive bottle, but quite a nice, refreshing drink to have of a Sunday night. Let me pull up this chat and welcome you guys before I explain to everybody what the vPub is about and what the Sunday night vPub is about. Fantastic to see so many of you in. The Sunday night sessions don't have any structure to them. There's no theme. Normally, a vPub would have a theme, some kind of structure, some kind of topic, a whiskey concept, something to interest us and keep the conversation going, and to try and stimulate a little bit of education amongst ourselves. But on these Sunday night things, I don't necessarily want to have to prepare extra themes and topics. It's just a kind of more of a relaxed community thing, more of a question answer. I can see that the chat is lighting up, everybody trying to get my attention, and that's fantastic. There will always be a quiz at the end. If you want to hang about until a bit later this evening, I will close out with a quiz. It's an easy one tonight. Yes, we can just relax until then. Let's see some of you guys just say hello. Marcus Crichton is saying, good evening, Roy. Really nice to see you again. And you, Marcus. Thank you for your support yesterday as well. Zelinair is in saying, evening, Roy, Billy Saunders and Molasses. Good to see you both. Rico Denert, you star. Good to see you. Neil Laverty. Wonderful, Neil. Good to have you in. Neil Cochrane, my friend in Glasgow, is here, as well as Eric Gilbert. Zach Andrews over in Texas saying cheers. Thank you, my friend. It's really nice to see you in. Gixer Skipper is saying good evening, Roy. All good up here in the Highlands. Hope you're well. I hope you're well too, Luke. And you're probably having to keep your distance from your dad, Glen, right now. I've got a wee dram here from Glen I'm going to pour after I've finished this whiskey and soda. Whiskey Music is in. Our Baggy is here. Fantastic. Lunar and Christina Zerpoli. Guys, everybody that's inside Patreon, Christina popping up there just reminded me of it. The support and the comments that you gave me today were wonderful, wonderful feedback. I shared an article inside Patreon today, and just to talk about the weekend, talk about all the whiskey content that's coming, how that's potentially changing, the dynamic, how we're sharing whiskey on YouTube. Mindsets are changing and adapting a little bit. And I put an article out to my patrons, and I got wonderful feedback from them. Very, very supportive, and I'm very, very grateful for it all. Keen O'Hara is here saying, how's it going? Brian Kilco is in as well. Graham Fraser, Jimmy Jazz. James Burgoyne as well. Mark Goins is here. Whiskey Tickets. Cresimir is in. The Whiskey Dram, that must be Daniel. Jean de la Cuisine as well. Greg's Whiskey Guide over in France. Thank you for your support, Greg, recently. Jimmy Legg is here. Fantastic, Blair. Good to see you. Daniel Vermaas, Richard Agnew, the Oak and Smoke Whiskey Reviews, Andy C. over in East Kilbride. So many of you, and I apologise, it's over 200, even for a quiet night tonight. So I guess, as normal, if you're trying to get my attention, try and type Aquavite, and I will try my best to keep my eye on the chat. This is about as much interaction as possible tonight. Eric Evanson, Barfly Harroy, that shirt looks familiar. Do you have one? Eric, did you pick one up? I do quite like this. It's a comfortable shirt. I'm enjoying it. It's one of my favourites to wear. I hope you like it too. Gino is in saying cheers from New Brunswick, Canada. Good to see you, Gino, as well. Fantastic. Carl Van Wallingham is in saying, hi, Roy, what a marvellous job you did yesterday. Thank you, Carl. Thank you so much. We'll spend a wee bit of time talking about it. I want to get your feedback and what you thought about it. I think it's a fantastic platform. It's a fantastic kind of harbinger, I guess, if you want to use that word, of things that could potentially come. Be nice to understand how we could refine it. I certainly clip back the running a wee bit would be the obvious one. But I think there's an opportunity there for, I've got some ideas. I'll share them with you. I'll share them with the industry. But I've got ideas about how that could be really a lot better. Raymaster is here as well saying, wow, Roy, I don't know how you do it. Hosting hours long stream on Saturday and now again, thanks for the quality, informative entertainment. I'll say thanks to you, Raymaster, and I'll also say thanks to Blair Jimmy Legg. I got a comment from him recently, and he was talking about how, I think it must have been on Wednesday or Thursday or something, and he said the next 4 days ahead, 3 of them are going to be spent with Roy. And he said that made him happy. That made me very, very happy too. Because there is a worry that there's just too much content coming out, honestly, and I don't want folk tiring of my face and my voice. But I've been told to just get over it, stop apologising, just keep bringing the content, and that's what I'm going to focus on doing. Bill Balistreri is in. Bill, I hope I'm pronouncing your surname well. Balistreri. He's saying, cheers, Roy. Good to welcome you in, my friend. Pete Head is saying, quite a decent voice after a long session yesterday. That calls for a lot of thumbs up. Thank you very much, Pete Head. Thumbs up are always appreciated. This helps, I have to be honest. Just a small measure of the Cato's blend in there, top it up with soda. It's really bright, very refreshing. Precarious Dave in the background has admitted he's lurking. And it's just nice. After that session yesterday, after that kind of 4 or so hours that we went for the Lockdown Whiskey Festival, I only had, I think, 4 drams, maybe. I don't know if I poured a 5th. I think there were only 4 glasses here. So I wasn't drinking a lot. And afterwards, as soon as the live was finished, I went out with the family. We had a wee walk, just that kind of daily dose of exercise by walking around the block. And we made some dinner together. And then I didn't really do anything else last night. I messaged some people back. I responded to some comments and things that were coming in. And I took an early bed last night. I was really quite tired. And then today's just been a very, very non-productive, lazy day. We played out in the garden for a little while. We had some nice sunshine, which is why I've been in the mood for this all day. We cooked dinner together. We hang out. We watched the Queen's speech tonight. She came on at 8 o'clock, a very rare thing for the Queen of England or our monarch. to take to the airwaves. It's only the 4th or 5th time, I think, in her reign that she's done that. Just a little 4-minute chat from the Queen to soothe all our concerns, I guess. And that's been it today. So I'm really looking forward to hanging out with you guys for a couple of hours and getting the whiskey chat on. Christina's saying, like I said, and Patreon, make sure this is still fun for you. Don't burn yourself out. It's fabulous fun. It's a privileged position when you consider everything that people are doing in order to keep things functioning in life. I get to sit here and do something that I really love, that I'm really passionate about. I'm passionate about whiskey. I'm very passionate about the whiskey community, and I'm very excited and privileged to be able to sit here in front of you. So honestly, don't concern yourselves with me at all. Nick Keane is saying, nothing to drink for me today. The wife has got me painting the house. And I know, Nick, you're down in New Zealand, so you're probably a good clean 12 hours behind us as well. Maybe a little bit later when you finally clean off those brushes, you'll be able to pour something nice. Cheers, Nick. And Gregor is saying that he's seen more of me this weekend than his wife. I apologise for that, Gregor. I understand why. Whiskey Mystery is saying we get more Roy speeches than Queen's speeches. Well, if you keep hanging out here, that's what you're going to get, Phil. So Jimmy like is saying he has 10 bottles open, twice what he normally would have open. I am surprisingly fine with it. You're having a positive effect. Well, I think 10, 20 bottles is good, honestly, a nice rotation. I think it's quite easy to go down a slippery slide and end up in my situation, open bottle syndrome, where there's just far too much open, honestly. What I need to start doing is sharing a bit harder. But that's difficult right now, isn't it? And I'm very behind on shipping. If you're waiting for something from me, I'm looking at you, Mark G. You've been waiting a couple of weeks now. I went down to the post office about a week and a half ago. Maybe it was a bit longer than that, actually. And there was no 2 meters apart. There was a big line outside. They were queuing to get the parcels away. And I just didn't want to deal with it. I just turned around and came away again. So those packages are still here. And there's a few others that's been asked to be shipped out since. I will get to it. I will go down there, but I'm trying to pick a time that I know it's going to be quiet. And, you know, they're maybe going to, I don't even know if they're still open, but imagine that they are. It's just a drop-off place. The Alchemist is saying, good evening, Aquavite. Are you going to follow the trend and shave your head for the lockdown haircut? Do you know I might have to? It's getting annoying. I don't know what I'm going to do there. I don't trust my wife with a set of clippers, but it might get to that. Maybe I'd be better off asking one of my daughters to do it. That would be something fun. Steve A is saying, don't know what to say. Seeing you 3 times in 4 days, we're certainly getting lots of Roy time. That's what I'm nervous about. But I have to say a huge, huge thank you to all of you that supported in that event yesterday, because it was so reassuring to be in that position and to look in that chat and see so many familiar names and faces. It was very, very reassuring. The support that you guys showed me in that stream yesterday was fantastic. The support that you showed the event in general was fantastic. I did get some feedback from the guy who gave me this bottle, actually, John Lamond. And he mentioned that I say the word fantastic an awful lot. And I figured that John must not watch me very often. There's even an emoji, fantastic. But watching myself back, I realised just how often I say it. It must become a wee bit annoying. Lunaran's saying your hair is getting unruly. It is a bit, needs a wee bit of a clip, Luna. Join the clipped club. It's going to be a thing, isn't it? Jason Whiskey Wise is here. Good to see you, Jason. Most of the stuff around me is closed, but still a lot of people still walking around. People are a bit nuts. And he's saying that Steve is saying that the event was so fun. I've had a dram bought for me by the Oak and Smoke Whiskey Reviews saying, love the content. And I definitely don't trust my wife cutting my hair either, lol. Cheers, my friend. I wouldn't trust my wife cutting my children's hair. But my daughter, Phoebe, she cut my wife's hair a few days ago, just trimmed a little bit off the edge, and it seems to have gone quite well. But she's only 12 years old. Jimmy Jass is saying, good to see you, Jimmy. I enjoyed my first whiskey festival, Aquavite. Such fun, if ever so early in the AM. Yes, for everybody in the States, everybody west of us, it was quite early. Radek is saying it was a privilege. Thank you, Radek. Orange Rule is here. Good to see you. He's got an emoji of an egg. Curious Orange Rule. And Whiskey Jason is using the fantastic emoji. Yes, I think Yesterday, the Lockdown Whiskey Festival, let's talk about that while I have this long drink. It went much better than most of us could have reasonably expected. And I'm speaking about in terms of the only kind of wee mistakes that I made and things, the trip-ups and slips of the tongue. There was the tiniest of technical hitches. It would have been nicer if we could have heard George from Kilhoman a bit better. But I'm being very picky. I think it was processed and we did a dry run, and we put a bit of work into it beforehand to make sure it could be smooth. And I think it went quite well. And then if you consider the market, the industry support that we had for it, very good, better than expected. The community support blew the doors off. There was close to 900, I think it got to 886 in YouTube at its peak. And then there was a couple of hundred in Facebook watching live as well, to probably push it up close to or over the 1,000. I'm not sure what the stats are. It was hosted obviously on a different channel. But yes, other than it running a bit long, and I have to say, I hope that I very much hope that can be realised again. Fantastic. Anyway, Oak and Smoke Whiskey Reviews, thank you for your virtual dram. This is so nice and refreshing. I appreciate that it's quite clinky and noisy, probably the ice in the microphone. I apologise. Chris Beaton is here. Good to see you, Chris. He's saying, my wife cuts my hair. It will grow back if they wreck it. I can always wear a hat, I guess, or something. Lee J is in. Good to see you, Lee J. Fantastic to welcome you in again, my friend. As Eleanor saying, it was a great show yesterday. I ended up with a wee shopping list. Yeah, I can imagine. So did I. I'm very interested. Just a shame that we have to go to Arran, for example, to get that Fingles cut. That sounded amazing. There was a couple of them that came through. The Kilkerrans obviously have. There was a couple of them that were mentioned that I thought, that's really worth exploring. That's worth looking at. So yeah, Roy, finally get to join in. That's Sai-Bai. I don't know how to pronounce that either, my friend. Good to have you. Saying, always enjoy watching this. Great people and informative. Absolutely. Wonderful to welcome you in, my friend. And yes, there's not much content tonight. It's just a relaxed chat. I hope that's going to work out okay with everybody. Arnie Tiger is here as well. Hi, Arnie. Good to see you. Saying it was nice that they were big and small producers at the festival. Absolutely. Tristan History is here. I've still got your book. I need to get Charlie to sign that, Tristan. But I think was it you that won the book? I think it was. But it's going to sit here a while. I may actually mail it to him. I've not heard from Charlie. I need to reach out and make sure he's doing okay. He was in New Zealand when this all kicked off. Thank you so much for your awesome work yesterday. It was brilliant. 7,000 views already. Yeah, I saw that before I came on. 7,000 views. Hope the brands realise there's an audience out there for it. Yeah, it's not just an audience. It's an informed, respectful, open, welcoming, knowledgeable, fantastic community. It really, really is. And it's not the community that they should be bringing out their kind of run-of-the-mill, here's another core range. It's the kind of community that wants to see the thought out, well presented, good quality products, things that we can really engage with, because we do tend to be towards, and I mean this in the most positive way, towards the jaggy end of the spectrum. We're looking for the stuff that as geeks and enthusiasts we can enjoy. So if they're mindful of that, they can curate the right kind of content for us. And they know that nobody's out there to try and replace traditional roles of brand ambassadorship or whatever it may be, but we can help it. We can enhance it, augment it a little bit. We can work with the brands when they've got products and releases and things that speak to us and bring value, honestly speaking. That's why I was asking about retail prices throughout the stream yesterday. Hoyt is saying, Nicholas wants to know what you think of our big beastie. Well, I would say that I haven't tried it yet. Once I get my hands on it, I do want to get my hands on it. The price looks good. Big 5 right on the front label, natural presentation. For the peat lovers, I think it's going to be a great hit. I think it's a bold, brave step by Ardbeg, and I would like to support them on it. But in order for us to do that, I think it needs to be a decent whiskey as well, or at least good value for the price that they're putting it at. Orange Rule is saying a shaved baldy heed reference. The egg. Graham Young has got you. Totally get the egg reference. Yeah. Absolutely. Whiskey Novice Jim is saying it was great to see the support you got, Roy. Here's to the next one. It was amazing, Jim. It really was. It was wonderful. Cresimir is saying for the first timer, it was amazing. There is, of course, place for improvement, but a good idea to have something like this held every year. I would say we could do it more often than every year, honestly, depending on how we refine the format, depending on what kind of producers we could get involved. I mean, I've been tuning it over. I've got some ideas, but it's not really my place to do it. It's you might know that they asked me to host it on this channel, and I said it probably wouldn't be a good idea. I didn't think it would be a good fit. A lot of people would maybe think I've done myself a disservice there because it was a huge hit. There was kind of thousands of hits and views and lots of people liking it, lots of comments, lots of real-time viewers and things. But if people are interested in connecting with me, they'll find me. And I don't want to fill this channel up with kind of drive-bys and ghost subscribers. This is a very a very organic growth that we have inside the channel, and I want to preserve that. And I also didn't want to kind of turn my back on my patrons who finance me. I'm fully independent. Because of my patrons, I can remain independent. And I felt that not knowing how it was going to go, I couldn't risk it just being a kind of parade of brands that would kind of weaken the message of the channel and things. But more than anything, I kind of wanted to help show the industry that they don't, I'm willing to help, I'm willing to support and do everything that I did, but they can do it themselves on their own channels. And I think it would be fantastically collaborative if Tomatin said, right, we've done ours. Let's hand it over to, I don't know, Mr. Angus Dundee or maybe Distell or Ian McLeod or whoever the hell is going to get involved next time around and work and develop it and refine it, but do it in a very collaborative way. Use the similar branding, the similar naming, and this time it would come up hosted by Ian McLeod or whoever it might be. But I've got more ideas. There's more ideas behind it. And I think my ideas are certainly ones to try and enhance the interaction, enhance the enjoyment for the community. Gixer Skipper said that Tomatin Decades 2 sounded amazing, definitely on the shopping list. I have to agree. And I was quite, it's £175, quite a lot of money to spend on anything, certainly a lot of money to spend on a bottle of whiskey. But once you hear the story behind it and hear that a quarter of that is 1970s distillate, and then I get the impression that if you spent a bit of time with it, it sounds like it might be one of those special bottles that you would be quite glad that you brought up, that you paid for it, that you bought it. Jimmy Legg is saying, Roy, Aquavite, the idea, man. Jimmy, I do have the occasional idea. My problem is that as the years tick by, I tend to be forgetting the ideas. Big Dog is here saying, Aquavite, cheers from the Highlands of Virginia. A wee dram of Ardbeg Dark Cove right now. I have to say, Dark Cove was a cracking release from Ardbeg. Genuinely a good one. A very, very rich Ardbeg. Hans van, oh wow, Hans van Inenam. That's the best I can do, Hans. Would be nice to have a Q&A session with the industry guys. Absolutely. If you could have something that was like a bit more like this. Well, I tell you what, Tomatin are going out every Friday right now doing the softer side sessions. And they're very much doing that format. They're having a guest on, they're having a topic and a theme, but you can interact with them. I think it might get busier now that they've had that event on Saturday. Their streams might get busier, but those are going out on Friday evening, and you could, certainly if you're interested in Tomatin and Kuboken, you could do a Q&A there, and I think more of that's going to come from the industry. Actually, myself and Bart and Scott from the Scottish Test Dummies are going to be appearing on that. I don't know what date that is. Is that? I feel like it's the 10th. Well, that would be Friday coming then. So yes, but it's optional. You don't need to. But I'll be appearing on that and on Friday night as well. And there's a live stream coming from me, another vPub on Thursday. There is a lot of me on the airwaves right now. Eric is saying, I think distilleries would look for whiskey tubers to host as they are not as familiar with the YouTube environment and they are not as socially networked. I would say that that's certainly one of the reasons that they reached out to me, Eric, because I was familiar with it, because I knew the flow of the technology and things. I helped them structure and set that up. I helped them come up with the idea and the function and the everything. So it was very much very open and collaborative from the get-go. And when I said I didn't fancy it being on my channel, and they kind of reasoned that it was going to end up on the Tomatin channel, then they asked if I would host it. And of course, I was very happy to do that. It was a pleasure a privilege to be asked. Whiskey Novice is saying, if you bring the Fashil Roy, I'll supply the music. Good for you, Jim. I heard you play anything. You should do that, Jim. You should play something on one of your streams. Stewie Baby's here saying Aquaviti had a great time in the session yesterday. Had a bit of an epiphany trying Tom and Tell's 16 for the first time. Lovely stuff. Thank you. Great job. And we talked at length about the presentation of the Tom and Tell range as well, and how that 16 can be very powerful, especially for bringing people into whiskey. Jean-Paul Vanderhoven is saying, pronounce E as A. Okay, I do apologise. That was Hans. That probably made a mess of his name, right? Hans van Enenam. Enenam? Oh, Anenam, perhaps? Oliver Truavis is in here. Good to see you, Oliver. Fantastic. Neil Laverty saying Aquaviti Roy, were all the distilleries involved happy to be there? Yeah, absolutely. There was no... I think what happened is that Tomatin just went out and suggested it. I think the uptake was much larger than what you saw there. I think there were more people behind what was presented with you that wanted to be involved. But by the time that it got to that stage, it was already, quite a big monster. It grown bigger, faster than they expected. So I think that there's going to be more people wanting to get involved in that format in the future. Scotch in the Bayou, Leanne, fantastic, good to see you. Even though it ran long, the flow and the pace was very nice, not rushed, like we all had a chair in the conversation. Quite nice and organic. Thank you, Leanne. I think that's quite good. And Pete Head is saying, wonderful pronunciation. Hans is saying, thanks, pronunciation was very good. Thank you, Hans. Skogsmard is here saying, just rewatched your Scotch whisky name pronunciation guides, made me curious. Do you speak Scots Gaelic? Your pronunciation sometimes sounds a bit too good. No. Skogsmard, I'll be honest with you there, there's a guy called Thomas over in the Gaelic College on the Isle of Skye, who I called and I pestered him until he became quite tired with me, specifically talking about dialect and Scots Gaelic and how you would pronounce these things, and it was a super interesting conversation. One of the things I've got on my list, I shouldn't share this publicly, for a thing to do on a live stream, was to go into Gaelic pronunciation a little bit, but not speaking any Gaelic at all. I felt, I don't know how I could pull that off without asking somebody along the lines of Thomas, without asking them to join and give us some insight into it. I think I could do a video of just Bunnahabhain expressions on its own right, how to pronounce those. Carl Van Wallingen is saying, your pronunciation of Dutch and Belgian names is way better than Bart of the Scotch Test Dummies. Fantastic. There I go again. I need some kind of coach. I think I use the word fantastic as a kind of full stop or an exclamation mark. And it has become... Yes, I'm very aware of it now. Thanks, John Lamond. Andy C is saying something interesting. Definitely didn't feel like a corporate event. Felt much more natural and open with nice interaction between the distillery as well. I have to say, Andy, you've been to a festival. You go to a standard traditional whiskey festival, all the tables are quite small tables. In the UK, they tend to be small tables anyway. The regional events, and the tables are butt up right next to each other. So there's just lines of people behind these tables pouring drams. So there's very much a kind of family feel from the industry at these events as well. And there's this level playing field where everybody's just in it together and getting on with it. And, they're there in competition. Of course they are. They've got different brands and different labels and different parent companies and everything, but they're not really competing. The competition is stripped away and they're there in a very collaborative format in the same event space. And that's kind of what I wanted to try and achieve in our virtual event space. Scott Adamson from Tomatin is very, very aligned. Him and I think about these things in a very, very similar way. He's very, very open and forward thinking. You have to imagine that Scott Adamson and Scott Fraser from Tomatin were one of the first guys to go out on YouTube on a live stream, very risky thing to do way back in, I think it could have been 2016, maybe early 2017. They went out on the Scotch Test Dummies channel. And that was a big step for the industry back then. So Scott Adamson's kind of already a wee bit ahead of the curve in terms of how to embrace these opportunities and these ideas. And I think that we managed to get that feeling of the companies being alongside each other in the same space. I certainly felt, I came away from it feeling like that. It was like that. There was no producer or ambassador that had a higher standing than anybody else. Highlandhopper Stuart, thanks so much for your recent support and messages, my friend. He's saying, fantastic is just part of you, so just stay with it. I know. Just be you and use your fantastic, and Firecracker makes you unique and interesting. Firecracker. Are you talking, Eric, about the exploding light? I have actually replaced that light over there. But I don't know what's happened to it. It's perhaps fallen down the back or something, but it has been replaced. I showed everyone the thing that made the fantastic explosion during the tour of Islay a week ago. Was that a week ago? Perhaps more than a week ago now. Oak and Smoke is saying, sipping on the Compass Box, Flaming Heart at the moment, second bottle of 2018 release, and I must say it's delicious. I bet you it's fabulous. Pete Head is saying, the fantastic has become more or less a signature of you. I'm not bothered with it anyway. You're wonderfully reassuring, all of you. Greg's Whiskey Guinness saying, and the interest of you as a virtual host was also the fact that you were kind of moderator and structuring different guests' interviews. Well, some recent ultra-branded lives, don't ask, were somewhat painful. Yes, I mean, I did say to all the brands at the outset, I'm going to be asking questions about presentation and about price. Is that fair game? I can't see it getting done any other way. And they were all like, absolutely. Ask anything you like. These guys are all seasoned professionals, and they're used to answering these questions in tastings and at festivals, and they're used to having to deal with more difficult concepts, more difficult things to explain. What's the big deal about kind of doing the exact same thing in an environment such as Saturday? Graham Fraser is saying, everyone yesterday was very open to take questions and there was no one-upmanship. Great moderation by Uroy. Time flew. Yes, a huge thank to the other moderators as well, because it was a couple of minutes before the live and Scott had worked out that he hadn't appointed any moderators. And he said, give me some names. And I just mentioned the guys who have been from time to time moderating in my channel. So Macallan, Fine and Rare. I don't know if he's in tonight, actually. I'm not sure I've spotted him yet. Alistair Gray, Scott, Kilted Moose, and of course, Steve A. All of you guys were there just to make sure that there was no kind of spam or trolling or any nonsense coming in, and I'm very grateful to you. You're saying, aha, that's what happened. Absolutely, Steve, and thanks for just accepting it and being quite happy to deal with it. Ernie, thank you for your recent support as well, Ernie. Fantastic to see you in here. You were asking questions the consumer wants to know. Price, presentation, yeah. McAlpine and Rare is raising his hand up and saying, I'm here. Good to see you, Doc. Fantastic. Doc is in. Doc is always here. He's like a warm, comforting blanket. This is pretty much just water, soda water. Let me raise a wee sample here. I actually got two of these samples from Glen, from Dancing Midgie. This is a nice dram. This is a single cask release from Glengoyne, and it's the Duncan's dram. Now, it's quite expensive. It's 17 years old. I think it's quite well presented. I pulled it up on the web. I didn't get a chance to read it. What's the ABV on this? 57.3% ABV. It doesn't mention anything about a single cask. Come on, you've got to tell us what kind of cask it's in. On the Glengoyne website, I'm sure if I did a bit of research, I would find out what kind of cask it's come from. Let's see if I can work it out. Pour a wee half a dram, and we'll use Charlie McLean's tip. We'll seal this bottle back up nice and tight again and see if we get a lot of bubble beading from the high ABV. Well, absolutely. Nice foamy head. A tip from Charlie McLean: if you're blind tasting something, that helps you determine the ABV. Oh, wow. Much more elegant, much quieter than I expected for a single cask. If being from Glengoyne, you're expecting sherry cask, of course. Chris Beaton's asking me to crack out the Black Forest. I think I still owe you a dram of that, Chris. Sherry Oak, but 520 bottles. Did you buy one, Jimmy? I think you did. So after 17 years, in order to get 520 bottles out of it, it would have to be a fairly sized single cask, so a butt makes sense. Not sure if it's European oak or American oak, but I have to say, the way I'm nosing it just now, the sweetness, there is quite a bit of nice caramel toffee kind of notes coming from it, which leans a wee bit more towards American. Let's just dive in and have a wee sip. It's a beautiful whiskey. That's a very, very good whiskey. It's a very good Glengoyne. Wow. Glengoyne is the Glengoyne in this is fully intact after 17 years. A very elegant spirit. That very, very. There's a kind of a nice. You can't. The edges here. There's a very nice. I don't want to say leather, but it's of that order. It's not gone as far as kind of dunnage notes. It's not that kind of dusty, dank note, but there's maturity here. It's very elegant for 57.3%. Doesn't play like that at all. There's no water in this. That's a lovely, lovely, delicate whiskey. Now, this is expensive. The reason I didn't buy one is it is pricey. It's £189. I will say that single cask Glengoyne is not a common thing. And this will be in order. It's Duncan McNichol's hand-selected cask. He's picked it by hand. So you have to say he spent a bit of time trying to pick the perfect cask. And it's a peach. Thanks for hosting yesterday's festivities. Hoyt Hempball's bought me a virtual dram. Thank you so much, Hoyt. Welcome break from my house walls. Sláinte, Hoyt, and thanks so much for supporting and hanging out with us yesterday. It would have been very, oh, it's so nice. It would have been very early in the day for you as well. Radek is saying, is it worth that much money? I haven't bought it, Radek. To spend that kind of money on a bottle of whiskey, it has to be something that I really want, that I'm really keen to get my hands on. This is a fabulous Glengoyne. This is a fabulous whiskey. That question is you're asking a very subjective thing. Jimmy Jazz, I think you went there. I think you tried this and I think you bought it. Tell me, Jimmy, if that's true or if I'm misremembering. Multi-Haggis Muncher is saying bottle kill, Linkwood, 21.55%. Wow, fantastic, Matthew. I wonder, there is a bottle kill emoji, as Jimmy Legg is pointing out. And let's see if I can, there we go. So let me tell you what these custom emojis are. That's my recycle bin from the Recycled Reviews. These are, if you, the YouTube membership is $1.99 a month. You join by hitting the button below and it gives you access to the custom emojis and loyalty badges and things. It's just for fun. Honestly, it's fully optional. You can dip in and out if you want, if it's the kind of thing that excites you. It just adds a bit of colour to the chat and things, and of course supports the channel a wee bit as well. let's not detract from the fact that all my funding comes fully through Patreon. There is the option to support through YouTube as well, but that's only for people that don't want to step into the Patreon environment. But congratulations, Matthew, on your bottle kill. Mark Goins is in saying, would be great for a festival online to do a tasting pack to send out beforehand, just like Kilchoman has been doing on Fridays. Right. If it's one distillery, if they've got access to be able to bottle on site, and Kilchoman's got its own bottling facility, for example, and most of the distilleries in Scotland do it centralised, and there's lots of legislation in place for that to happen. So it's actually pretty tricky for that to happen. From multiple producers, they would need to partner up with somebody in order to do it. My idea is much more straightforward and simple than that. Do it a month in advance, get a hold of the Whisky Exchange. I can't remember what their service is now, but they do it by the dram and drinks by the dram through Master Malt. There's companies like the Dram Team. There's people out there that can service that kind of thing. And let people look at what the pour list is going to be in advance and let them choose and buy the drams that they want to buy and sip alongside. Now, you may say if we went to a real whiskey festival, we would get the drams for free. In the UK, that tends to be how it works, that you pay your admission and you get in and you can have the drams that you want to try. My argument to that is that there's no travel to go to the festival. There's no admission, there's no ticket price, it's free to join. So if you end up paying 20, 30, 40 pounds, whatever it might be, on a little tray of drams in advance for you to sit down and sip alongside the specific presentation, that seems something that would work for everyone. It's just me thinking out loud. I have not bounced this off anyone else. John Kranz has just become an Aquavitae barfly. Thank you so much, John. I hope you have a bit of fun with the emojis. That's just my thoughts. Honestly, I think it could work quite well. Che Francis is saying drinks by the dram. Stu190, fantastic support yesterday, my friend. You were very good and very vocal, asking lots of nice questions yesterday. He's saying I was able to purchase 8 of the whiskies being drank in samples at Master Malt before the festival. Fantastic. So you did that very thing already. I think with a bit more time, they would be able to talk about that to make sure that Master Malt, Whisky Exchange, whoever else was going to be involved, could have plenty of stock in advance of those drams. Whiskey Whistle Mark is in saying 100% agree, Roy. Aquavitae. Mark, thanks so much. And I think you managed to pick up some of the festival on Saturday as well. Good to have you in, Mark. Good. This is my friend, Mark Kaufman. If you don't know Mark, his channel is Whiskey Whistle. He's been doing it for quite a long time now. He's been doing it for longer than I have. Sharing content from Manitoba. I want to say Manitoba. Winnipeg. You're in Winnipeg, Mark. I'd apologise. Out in Canada. Fantastic to welcome you in it, Mark. Good to see you. Lee Kerwin is saying, how do I get an Aquavitae Barflies branded Glencairn glass? They don't exist, Lee. There are Aquavitae Glencairns. I'm not even drinking out my own branded Glencairns tonight. There's a twin pack of Glencairns. There's the roundel and the banner type Aquavitae logos. One of each comes in a pack. You can send me an email. My website was just about ready to go live. The store and everything is finished. I've put in the stock of everything that I've got. It's all ready to go live. I just had some tidying up to do, some navigation things. It just needed another maybe 10-20% push to get it over the finish line. But then all the kids ended up home from school. I was doing home teaching through the day. The live streams doubled up and all the content and the focus on the guests and the prep and all the things. The website's just been put to the side. I will get there. But in the meantime, until that's up and running, you need to still send me an email and I can help you out with whatever you're after, whether it's the kind of t-shirts, glasses, coins, challenge coins, whatever it may be. McCann Final Rare said, I recommended sending out samples 800 hours before the event. You know why? I know. Hellswood, Helen is saying, great idea. Zen Buddha is saying, curiositas. So the curiositas is Benriac, peated expression, I believe. Peter is saying that the admission mechanism should work for me. Luna Aaron is saying, sending out samples is a nice idea, but a problem for all of mainland Europe, or just a bit expensive. Again, do you have sample services close to you that perhaps they could know in advance that this festival is happening and have a little bit of stock in? Do any of the dram clubs ship to Canada, Alberta? I would be shocked, Chris. Honestly, Canada's like some kind of alternate dimension when it comes to trying to ship alcohol into, I think. I'd be surprised, honestly. My friend Hoyt is saying virtual tastings would allow more people to participate. Absolutely. It'd be great fun. It would just add that other layer of interaction. Sillet Bang is saying, just spent £200 on samples from Master Malt lists. My vPub supply sorted. That's what I'm doing tonight. I've poured this wonderful Glengoyne from Glen, and I've got my sample box sat next to me. If I fancy another one, I'm going to just take a sample from the community, reach into the sample and pour something that you guys have shared with me. How about a festival simple dram pack deal? It could be arranged. I mean, literally, if you had this festival clipped at a more digestible size, let's say, you could have, let's say, half a dozen participants in, okay? Half a dozen brands want to come along and share their products. And in the dram pack, there's one dram from each of them. And you send off, and it's maybe subsidized by the producers. It's part subsidized in order to make it still a bit profitable for whoever's going to do the fulfillment. But they can just get this level of interaction out, and they can just work in partnership. Again, collaboration, is the answer to everything. Come on, it's the 21st century. They could work with these fulfillment companies and get dram packs sent out. You could buy dram packs from the Whisky Exchange. They could also work in tandem with Master and Malt, with the dram team, with anybody who does that very thing, the fulfillment side of things. Actually, one of the glasses that I'm going to use tonight is a dram team glass. Chris at the dram team, I'm sure, should be reaching out to Tomatin and be all over that. I have suggested that it is a possibility. Multi-Miss in Canada isn't even a real place. I know because I've been there for my honeymoon. Radek is saying Jimmy Jazz is happy with his purchase. What is Jimmy Jazz? Did I miss him? Yes. The neck pour reminds me that I chose wisely. Pricey, but I loved it better than the current teapot, in my opinion. This is a completely different thing from the teapot. Absolutely, Jimmy. After WT 101, the Timorous Beastie is exactly a lemon wedge stuck in a pill bottle. Wow. But I'm looking for Jimmy Jazz, am I not, to see if he's shared his thoughts on this Glengoyne 17, and I've missed it. Apologies, Jimmy. It looks like I've probably missed it, my friend. Dancing Midges here. Glen is here saying, I love it, Roy. The more you have, the better it comes. I'll buy another couple of bottles if the good wife gives me the okay. Wow. There's only 520 of them, Glen, so. I'm going to put a wee dot of water in what's left of this. There's not much left in the glass. I've got some more in this sample bottle. It's so fruity. Just a few wee drops from my nice. This is a really cool idea, Sipper Social Club. This is Jeremy sent me this. It's got the little dropper in the top. Just be careful that you don't leave the water in it too long, right? You want the water to be fresh, I suppose. It plays much softer than 57. Much softer. This is my first neat dram since yesterday, since the festival. Oh. Good whiskey. Good whiskey is just good whiskey. Glen is saying he prefers a touch of water. With the water in, I was already starting to focus in on the fruit beforehand, to be honest with you. That last sip, much more fruity, sweet citrus. The kind of toffee caramel thing is still there. Feels like an American oak cast to me, honestly. The spice is still there. It's got a nice long finish. Fantastic. Looks like Scotch Test Dummies have joined us. People are talking to the Scotch Test Dummies. Hey, Scott. I imagine it's going to be Scott that's in saying, hi, everyone. Hi, Aquaviti. Good to see you, my friend. Fantastic to welcome you. And I wonder what you're up to on this Sunday afternoon. I guess potentially you're in lockdown now as well. Looking forward to hanging out with you on the Tomatin live stream. I've just worked out earlier in this stream that's coming up very soon. I think, Scott, that's going to be on Friday evening. But Jenkins is saying, I love the idea of even doing the pre-announced tasting. A list at a future vPub. Pick 3 or 4 we could all buy in advance. I think they've got the audience there. They've got the willing, eager participants. They just need to work out the logistics of it to make it happen. And obviously it's going to be difficult for certain folk in certain territories because, as we've talked about Canada and things like that, it can be a wee bit difficult. But where there's a will, there's a way. Lee Cameron is saying, when you add water to a dram, although only adding a drip, would it matter if it was chilled or at room temperature? If you're talking about the water, your whiskey's at room temperature. The water you add to it should be at room temperature as well. That's why these wee bottles are good. It's good to have just maybe a wee bottle of still water on the side. Sometimes if you don't have a teaspoon or a water dropper handy, pour it into the cap and control how much water you're putting in. It should absolutely be at room temperature. But what I would say is that there's a difference between using water in order to start a chemical reaction to get it to interact with the whiskey, and that you do that by just adding a few drops. It seems really silly if you're just coming into whiskey and you see people with droppers adding wee drops of water into their whiskey. You think they're crazy. It does appear a little bit unhinged, but as you get into whiskey and you start to enjoy whiskey, you realize that there's a lot of fun to be had in it. And that just that's you just trying to, break the whiskey up a bit and just open the whiskey up. Then beyond that, there's dilution. If you start getting to the point where you're putting in half teaspoons of water and you're bringing down the ABV a bit, that's you past the point of just trying to kind of open the whiskey up. That's you actually actively taking steps to dilute the whiskey and bring the ABV down. And I encourage people, especially if they've got a bottle, to give up at least 1 dram to that exercise and keep adding water beyond what you would normally add. It changes and it's still giving things up even when it's really soft and it gets to the point where it's quite watery and you feel like you've drowned the dram. If you're analysing a whiskey and if you're enjoying exploring what that whiskey's got to offer, sometimes you need to go beyond what's comfortable for you. The next dram you pour, not to put so much in perhaps, but give one up to see what the whiskey can give up. I know I need to practice what I preach a lot more because it's fiddly. You need to be sat at a table with the water, with the time. Maybe you're taking notes or something. Maybe it is a full-on focused analytical experience, but it can be good fun and it can be eye-opening. It can be educational. And anybody that's coming into whiskey always asks the same questions. How long before I start to taste what everyone else is tasting? And it just takes patience and practice and in creativity, inventiveness, and playing, honestly. Rico is saying, Aquaviti, thanks for pointing out the samples from TWA. That's awesome. Never knew about that service. Looks amazing so far. I hope, Rico, that you're able to get it shipped over to you from TWA in Germany. Sunday Evening Scotch Michael is here saying, I find just a few drops really improves the texture of a whiskey. More than not, I find it gets oilier, creamier on the palate. Some absolutely do. This one, I'm not noticing any kind of change in texture. I've only put just a few wee drops in. So it's such a nice... This is a nice, elegant, classy whiskey. You could pour this for even people that aren't normally engaging with whiskies of this ABV, 57.3%. For those of you just tuning in, I'm having the Glengoyne 17-year-old Duncan's Dram. It's a single cask release from Glengoyne in order to celebrate the years of Duncan McNichol working at Glengoyne. I think he started, 40 odd years ago. He works under Robbie Hughes as the distillery assistant manager. Slant you, folks. McCann Rare saying, true story, I heard at the distillery. How can you tell a visitor is German? He uses a plastic pipette and wears a North Face jacket. Rico is saying shipping to Germany doesn't seem to be a problem for them. Excellent, Rico. Lee Cameron's bought me a virtual dram and said, no one has explained it that to me before. Cheers. Thanks, Lee. I hope that makes some sense. And thank you very much for your dram as well. Cheers, Lee. Thank you also for your recent support inside Patreon as well, my friend. Welcome in there. Rob, Whiskey in the Six is here as well. So we're having a nice hangout, a peer creators hangout as well. If I'd known that you guys were going to be available in advance, we could have had a little kind of mini YouTube collaboration. There's been talk of that happening again a couple of years ago when everybody worked out, thanks to my friends at Scottish Test Dummies, everybody worked out that collaboration was much more powerful than kind of isolated competitive production. When the channels started to work together and come together, there was this real kind of, I hesitate to use the word zeitgeist, but it was definitely a coming together of channels and collaboration. And that's not happening now because we quickly realized that there wasn't much value in continuing to do the same kind of appearing on each other's channels all the time, but we're still very much connected, supportive and collaborative. And I think we're a wee bit overdue some kind of event. I don't know. I mean, if depending on people's availability, we could even do it on a Sunday evening like this. We could do an extended opening vPub and they have a bit of a YouTube round table. So Whiskey in the Six, Rob, if you're up for that, Scottish Test Dummies, Mark Whiskey Whistle. There's going to be a few others in here as well. That could be an interesting activity. Some of these channels have been doing it for a long time now, and I think it's probably been 2 or 3 years since we last got together and did it in earnest on YouTube. It used to be quite an event. We used to love it. How about an indie bottle festival? It was great to have a Delphi. Be interested to see more. Honestly, I wouldn't like to separate them. Maybe we'd need some thought. I think. I wonder what the advantage would be for separating the indies from the producers. I think if people have got nice whiskies to bring, I kind of would want to put them on a level playing field. That's my instinctive reaction, but I would think about it, my friend. Quite an interesting thing. Scottish Test Dummies is saying 12 hours of quarantine. Hey, be careful. Don't make jokes, Scott. It could happen. Obviously, he's joking because the Scottish Test Dummies does a thing every summer, a fantastic event called 12 Hours of Boom. A lot of work goes into that, but we could certainly do something. I don't think people necessarily want to watch 12 hours of YouTube channels. I don't know. Maybe they do. Maybe they do. Fantastic. Thank you, Glen, for this amazing, wonderful dram. I would like to give away the second one that's still intact. And it has to be a Glengoyne question. If I put out a Glengoyne question, now you know how these things work on the vPub. If you win this, you don't win it. It's not for you. If you answer the question and you win this sample, you nominate somebody else that I'll ship it to, somebody else that you think is deserving or would enjoy this very, very delicious. I'm reluctant to give this one away, honestly. This very, very delicious dram. Okay, I'm just going to ask a very simple question. The first person to type in the chat the name of the hill that Glengoyne Distillery sits at the foot of. What is the name of the hill that rises above Glengoyne? Eric Evanson is saying 12 hours, nothing else to do besides eat and go for a quick. Oliver is saying you never know, like the 24 hours of Le Mans. It's a motor race that lasts forever, and I love every minute. Okay, let's see who answered that first. Neil Cochrane, it looks like, got in there first. I'm going to take a screen grab. Macallan Fine and Rare is right behind him, as well as Billy Saunders and Stumo90. I'm going to take a screen grab just to prove to anybody that's watching that it looks like Neil Cochrane. Neil, my friend, my fellow Glaswegian, tell me, who do you think deserves Glengoyne 17 Duncan's dram? 57.3%. And I have to say, a damn fine whiskey as well. So I'm looking for Neil. let you think about it for a bit. Just adds another wee layer of sharing, doesn't it? I'm going to mention a really cool event if we talk about dram sharing and things like that. Everybody's kind of taken to the airwaves to find new ways of doing over-the-air virtual dram sharing, tasting packs, and all of that kind of thing. I would have to say that one of the nicest ones I've seen coming up recently is an initiative by the London Whisky Club. Now, you don't need to be a member. Everybody can join the London Whisky Club. It's an international club. They have real live tastings in London as well, of course, but they have a huge community of really passionate whisky folk building around that club down there. And they've got a tasting on the 22nd of April, an Artful Dodger independent bottler tasting, 4 drams for £30. And you can get the pack shipped to you for the £30. So instead of buying the £30 for a ticket to go along to tasting, it'll get shipped to you. And I believe that Jez is the guy you want to get in touch with, or anybody at the London Whisky Club. Check them out on the social media channels. It's whiskyclub.london, I think, is their web address. And Jez Batty, you can get a hold of him through various social media channels, London Whisky Club through various social media channels, and you can get yourself a pack sent out to you. Let's see if Neil Cochrane has chimed in. Please send it to Daniel Vermaas. There you go. Daniel, fantastic. Congratulations, Neil, you star. It's going out to Daniel out in Hungary. Dutchman living in Hungary. Daniel, well done. You're going to enjoy this. Neil, that was very, very, very decent of you. Now I'm going to open something completely different. Completely different, from 17-year-old to, I think this is 3 years old, maybe not much more. I've shared this on a vPub, I think I did, maybe it was a lock-in. But this is an exclusive from the Good Spirits Company in Glasgow. If you can't access, well, they do online, so I guess you could get a hold of this online as well. Somebody's bought me a virtual dram and I've missed it. Megan Miller, that's a new name, Megan. Fantastic, wonderful to welcome you in. I've got a wee drip of my Glengoyne here to say, new to the vPub, really enjoying the content. Thanks for offering a welcome, positive place to hang out for a bit. Cheers. Megan, this is not a typical vPub. This is very relaxed. This is just kind of me, instead of sitting at home on a Sunday evening drinking by myself, because everybody's kind of cooped up at home right now, I'm just opening the pub doors for some extra extended opening. So there's no structured theme topic. It's just a much more kind of relaxed, interactive thing. But it's really, really nice to welcome you in here, and it's lovely to have you buying me a virtual dram. Sláinte, Megan, thank you. The tiniest drip. Distilled on my birthday in 2015, Aquavitae. So I think Jimmy Jazz bought one of these as well. 27th of July is Jimmy Jazz's birthday, everyone. So this is a single cask. So this is Kingsbarns, a new Fife distillery, very small distillery. They've put out a few products. You were able to buy new make from them for a long time as well. So, you know, we're kind of familiar with their kind of progression. And I'd tried quite a few Kingsbarns and thought, great. Hadn't bought anything from them yet. That's not true. I have some new make through there. I don't think I bought it. I think it was gifted to me. I hadn't splashed out on anything. Then we were at a Glasgow Whisky Club regular tasting night, and this was brought along, and it was just in there in the lineup. Now, for young whiskey, everybody was approaching it for young whiskey, to expect it to be young whiskey, and it did display like young whiskey. Not much of a pop. Wow, that kind of sugary confectionery sweetness straight away. But this took dram of the night, which is quite a thing, and it was up against other decent drams. So people were really impressed with this. And this is a single cask bottling. I think the Good Spirits Company bought all the cask, everything that was available. I think it's been in a bottle for quite a time because it was bottled in 2019, an American oak bourbon barrel. You can tell by the colour, it's very pale. Pour a wee drop of this in here. 62.1%. It's not bad though. It's not bad on the nose. It's not abrasive. I'll do the Charlie McLean shake. It's a wee bit bubbly. We'll leave it sitting here for a minute. Strange choice to follow a Glen single cask 17-year-old sherry butt. But what I want to experience from this tonight is what I got on the night I tried this, and it was the texture. It was the oiliness. There's a real peanut note from it tonight. Peanut. But there's so much sugar in there. It's confectionery sugar that you could imagine. You could easily imagine like a sugar-coated peanut. Jimmy, I wonder if you've opened yours. A few people I know that has picked this up. I think the Alchemist Sevi's got one. I don't know if Kilted Moose got one. Let's see if that textured thing is there. Creamy and very spicy. The spice is the ABV. Lots of vibrant spice. Absolutely mouth coating, viscous, nutty, still nutty. Very clean, very clean. This is like nothing else I have. This is like nothing else I have in the cabinet right now. Super interesting to have this. Skogsmard is saying, is there a distillery making only unpeated whiskey you wish would make a peated version, or vice versa? No, I'm going to... Skogsmard, it's a bit of a rabbit hole you're asking me to walk down there. I think there's far too much variation, honestly. There's far too many distilleries trying to do far too many things rather than just focusing on doing one thing very, very well. It's just a personal opinion. I understand why they're doing it, the diversification, bringing the variation and things like that. But let's take an example such as, what would be a good example? Brown-Forman, we've got Glendronach. They do sherry cask. They do, they're well known for sherry cask, but they do peated. They've got Benriach, also do peated. I mean, the amount of expressions that come out of Benriach and Glendronach alone is mind-boggling. And then you've got Glenglassaugh as well. All of their distilleries have such a deep, wide range of products that you're kind of wondering. I mean, I understand why. Sometimes I feel like it might be more attractive and less confusing, because even as a whiskey enthusiast, as a geek who buys lots of whiskey, has a huge collection, it's tough to keep up with the selections that's available from all these different distilleries. Menno, so the distillery I had in my head while I'm talking about this is Clynelish. And the Diageo officially only release a single Clynelish 14 as an official bottling. And the rest of Clynelish is basically a backbone for so many high volume products that's out there. But I was thinking about Clynelish. Now, I'm not suggesting that all the distilleries out there should suddenly behave a wee bit like Diageo. Absolutely not. And I understand the need for kind of core range, but it would be nice for them to have a core range structure and then just occasionally release some special releases biannually, a couple of times a year, something like that. And I understand why they're making peated and unpeated, and I understand why all that goes on. But it's getting to the point that it's tough. There's just so much choice out there, honestly. And with a big boom in sales of Islay whiskies, it was much more lucrative and tempting for mainland distilleries to start doing a lot of peated products and selling it as single malt rather than using it as a component in a blend as well. Luna Aaron is saying, I am confused with Benriach's lineup. Spend a bit of time on the website, you start to get your head around it a wee bit more, but then you realise when you talk to somebody or you see a shelf display of Benriach, you see products there that you didn't even spot on the website. So yes, Benriach are not the worst, Lunaran. Believe me, there are far more confusing ranges out there than Benriach. But I think it could be, they would do well to kind of draw things and tidy things up a bit and make the messaging much cleaner for everyone. It's all too tempting when whiskey is aged in such small little vessels as casks. I think it's all too tempting to go a bit crazy with the creativity, because the options and the possibilities are there. Peter Eichen is in saying, on the new make, can you pick out the same flavour notes after maturation? Interested, as the casks seem to have such dominance in the whiskey I have tried. Not all the time. I'm trying to think how many new makes have I tried that I've tried Kingsbarns new make. I don't have much memory. A lot of new makes taste quite similar, honestly, and I think that a lot of new makes you would maybe have to spend a little bit of time with. Often when you're trying new makes, you're just trying it by the glass at the distillery, or you're bringing back just a wee sample bottle or something. If you spent a bit of time with it, perhaps you would start to pick out differences and you could dial it in much better than I can. I don't have any long memory of Kingsbarns new make, honestly. I knew it was sweet and it was easy going. It was something that you could easily consume as a drink. But I like to have at least some cask influence there as well. This is very spirit forward. This is a very spirity dram. There's not a lot of oak here. It's there, but it's quiet. It's very, very fruity as well. Peanut's still there. Very different. The ABV is high, much higher than how it plays on that. It's quite a few points higher than the 57 of the Glengoyne, but it's obvious. It makes itself much more known. It's there. It's all, your palate is left with that nice prickle and tingle. I wouldn't say it's hot. It's not harsh, but it's spiced. You need to get your hands on an STR from Kingsbarns, phenomenal founder #2 bottle, but they also have a single cask. So STR, that's stripped, toasted and recharred, isn't it? Freddie D is saying, Highland Park confuses the heck out of me. Oh, geez. You know, it's just, Highland Park used to be solid and reliable and you knew exactly what the range was all about, but I'm going back 5 or 6 years, honestly. Now, I don't even pay attention anymore. There's just so much noise. I'm just bored. The whiskey could be amazing, but I'm just bored. And then they've got the regional releases. Some are only in America. You see it in social media. There's another new Highland Park, and you work out it's only for America, and it's only for these regions and that regions and the Scandinavian. I've honestly just dialed it out now. I am absolutely bored. It's going to be awkward for me if I'm hosting a virtual whiskey festival and I've got people in from Edgington, right? But honestly, I would just ask them outright, what's going on? Lagavulin is a good example as well. There used to be the 16, but since the 200th anniversary, I'm concerned it's only a matter of time before their first NAS is out there, Aquavite. I've got a knowledge statement, Lagavulin. Menno, I was through there. It's a distillery exclusive. It was a try before you buy. I tried it, thought it was pretty good. It wasn't too expensive at the time. Lagavulin are still not the worst. I like the idea that they've got their core range is an 8, a 16, and they've got an annual release of a 12-year-old cask strength. They've brought out some special editions. There's a 10-year-old 43% travel retail. There's an 11-year-old Offerman edition, which, by the way, I'm continually hearing really good things about. I've got one here, but it's still sealed. There's other releases coming out from Lagavulin, but they're kind of limited releases or commemorative style releases, I think. Lagavulin are not the worst offenders, but I hear what you're getting at. Arbaggy is saying the new make was like cream soda. There's definitely cream soda on this. And in fact, it's probably even more cream soda-like because there's maybe a bit of vanilla coming in here from the American oak. A little bit of sweet lemon. Vikings, absolutely. Totally agree on the HP Illus track when they release every week, it seems. Just if they're losing, then you know that their market is the kind of drive-bys going, oh, what's this? And just picking it up and listening to the story and buying it. Story. So they're not preaching to us anymore. Macallan have long since gone that direction. Highland Park are following that direction. They're not bringing out presentation or product for us. They're bringing out special release after special release after special release, and even the most passionate, loyal Highland Park fan must be finding it difficult to keep up. Rico's saying he agrees with Luna Aaron on her Highland Park opinion. I wonder what that was, Luna. I wonder if I've already read it out. So an interesting thing I think that the London Whisky Club are offering, if you're interested in that, there are a few spaces left. I would like to do it, but it's on a Wednesday night. I may still do it, but I'm taking so much time away just now from the family to do live streams, do other wee kind of whisky bits, and because I'm not able to do things during the day just now because of the homeschooling and stuff, I'm spending some evenings in here. So I need to be careful what I commit to in advance, and I don't want to hog a place that somebody else could enjoy. But I may yet be there with you. Graham Young is saying, Aquavita, how about a Barfly's cask at Clydeside? Could be done. It could be done. Stewie Baby saying, I've been quite excited in what North Star are doing at the moment. Yes, I have to say that there's lots of interesting releases coming from North Star. I've got a few of them. There's a display of North Star bottles over my shoulder there. I've got the Sirius, the Vega, and I think 3 or 4 other different North Star bottlings. Enjoying them, honestly. Pretty good stuff. Yeah, I have to say that it's good when the independent bottlers are bringing nice, engaging things for reasonable money as well. Cast strength 2. Luna Aaron saying, I just said that the design was overdoing it with Pseudo Viking, not liking it. Yeah, it's a bit flowery, a bit fussy. I notice you don't drink much Irish whiskey. Any reason for that? There's too much Scottish whiskey. Pretty much following on from what I'm talking about. I do like, anybody that's watched this content and this channel for long enough will know how much I love single pot still Irish. Again, I love the oiliness, the richness, the smooth, soft texture of single pot still Irish whiskey. So Redbreast, Green Spot, Powers, what's the Powers one? John's Lane, I think it's called. As a style of whiskey, I really, really like it. I'm not big on lighter bulk produced Irish whiskies. It might do very well for what I did earlier on tonight when I poured that long drink. But if I go to Irish, it would be an Irish single malt or a single pot still Irish whiskey. But it's tough, isn't it, when there's so much Scotch to explore? Cheers to the frequent live streams. Thank you, Roy. Thank you, Graham. I hope that they're going on okay, even when it's just me winging it by myself solo. Cheers, Graham. I hope you and yours are keeping very, very well and healthy. Jimmy Liggins, do you feel that the Glendronach is getting to be a bit too wide with releases? They're getting close to the max with me. Yeah. Again, another one that's tough to keep up with, so I tend to connect with the standard, because the standard range from Glendronach is quite easy, the 12, the 15, the 18, the 21 Parliament. That's comfortable and easy and fairly consistent, I have to say as well. The special releases and things, the single cast from Glendronach, not so much. Ardbaggy saying, have you got the English whiskey Burgundy cast from North Star? No, but Sevy's got it. And I've heard a lot of people talking about it. I think it's an 11-year-old, if I'm right, if I'm guessing correctly, if I remember correctly. I know a lot of people are talking about it. John's Lane and Yellow Spot, still great. Yellow Spot's a peach, all the spots. I've had a dram now of the Red Spot, but I didn't buy a bottle of it. I think I would, for me personally, I'd say the money would be better spent on that fantastic 12-year-old Yellow Spot. Richie Z is saying, do you have any Cameron Bridge single grain bottles? Great older single grain. No, I don't. I have had Cameron Bridge. It has to be a very good single grain for me to really enjoy it. You know, a bit like this Kingsbarn is super, super sweet. There's lots of really, really sweet sugars and things in it. I'm not saying this is anything like a single grain, but this style of whiskey, that sweet confectionery note, it seems to be people that like sweeter whiskies tend to enjoy single grains. For me, I do enjoy a single grain. There's some cracking single grains, and there are some very, very fantastic experiences that you can have with very well aged, very mature single grains as well for not too expensive money. But it has to be a good one to get my attention. I'm trying to think as I'm talking right now if I've got a single grain in the collection, and I don't think I have, which is quite telling. Most of my interest is drawn by single malt, I would have to say, or let's just say single malt and regular Scotch rather than single grain. Serge reviews a fair number of single grains. He reports a wide variance, I would say. Makes sense. I mean, grain, we don't often know what the grain is, whether it's wheat or corn or how much barley's been used in there. And you know, the casks that it's been in, it's maybe started its life in a fairly quiet cask. God knows how many times it's been used previously. There must be huge variance, and we don't know how often it's re-racked and put in more active casks much later in life. Cadenhead's 31-year-old port at Dundas is wonderful, says Simon Ray. Yeah, I have tried crackers. One of my first ever videos, in fact, I think it was the first ever video that went out on the channel, was a video exploring single grain whiskey. Jens Roger Christofferson saying you could make up a question to draw my samples, several old single grains there. Jens, that's a good idea. Why don't you and I work it out between ourselves first so that I know how generous you've been with that offer. Jens knows fully that there's lots of let's say, newer folk to whiskey that's coming into the community now. And in order to kind of help them out and give them a bit of a comparison in their experience, he wanted to share some of his older stocks with some of the younger, or not necessarily younger, but people that's earlier in their whiskey journey. And I thought that was super, super generous. We talked about this a few weeks back and it's kind of been dropped since then. That's fully on my side, Jens. I do apologize for that, but I think it's a great idea. You know, I could come up with a couple of questions that we could use maybe next week's Sunday night vPub extended opening or something, and we could share it with somebody. And I guess that the good thing there is we could do what we've started to do already, that whoever wins it nominates somebody who's known to be maybe not have an extensive collection yet or something, somebody that's not had a chance to experience mature whiskies and much older whiskies, single grains, that kind of thing. I don't know how you feel about that, Jens, whether that's such a good idea. Jimmy Legg is saying, Lolroy is such a planner. Experience, I suppose. My wife would argue with you. My friend, Multi-Missing Menno, is saying, Aquavit, have you gone back to those 50s and 60s JW Red and Chivas? How have they evolved? They're still sitting over there. I have had another dram from the Chivas because I loved it. They haven't evolved. I think what I'll need to be mindful of those ones is that they're probably quite fragile and they need to be probably shared, enjoyed before too long. They're probably not the kind of whiskies that you could leave out for a long time. Maybe they're quite fragile after the amount of years, 40, 50 years in glass, right? But yes, the Chivas is a particular cracker, I have to say. It's delicious. How does the Kingsbarns compare to Wolfburn? In my experience, Wolfburn was very dry and ashen. I'm speaking about the peated product. It was a very dry, sooty, ashen peat. Completely different from this, even at a young age. This is much more sweet, fruity, rounded, still very nutty, lots of spice. I'm trying to place the spice, but it's more like a white pepper prickle. Sugar is the sugariness is the finish is quite long, but it's a sugariness going off to a kind of slightly bitter, saccharine sugar. but quite palate coating. Still trying to find Jimmy Jazz to see if he's sipping any of this tonight. You still in, Jimmy? Okay, so I do apologise if I'm talking. Generally, that the Thursday night vPubs will still very much have structure and theme and topics and things, but these Sunday night events are just going to be kind of relaxing a little bit, especially after the weekend that we've had and all the live streams that's been flying around, the virtual tastings being hosted by everyone. These are crazy times, and people are stepping up and bringing decent content, I have to say, but there's a lot of noise out there as well. So, you know, there is if you want to lose yourself in whiskey, it's very easy to do that. And I did mention on the last vPub, I want to mention again as well, I mentioned last week that just be careful, because I'm finding that I'm over-consuming. I'm over-consuming food. I'm eating a lot. I'm probably having too much whiskey, or let's say not too much, but I'm having whiskey too often. I'm going to have a break tomorrow, Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm going to try and maybe not have anything. Maybe one night I'll have something, but just have a bit of a break from it before Thursday night's vPub coming out again. And I think it's just healthy, because I think when you have too much, you start to not enjoy it as much. You start to kind of saturate your senses and your palate, and I think it's nice to have that definition and that break, so that when you come back to it again, you appreciate it a little bit. But if you are so inclined, the amount of content that's coming out right now, right across social media, digital channels, but especially inside YouTube, is huge. There's a huge choice. Lots of live streams going out all the time. Some of them very, very good and very interesting as well. Jimmy Jass is saying, sorry, peeling potatoes. Kingsbarns not tonight, Aquaviti, still on the Glengoyne. I never picked up your thoughts on that Glengoyne, Jimmy. I apologise. I should have been paying more attention to the chat. Whiskey Crusaders is in. Matt, fantastic to see you. He's saying, hey, Roy, hey, right back at you. I hope you're keeping healthy, well, and active, my friend. I'm sure you are. Daniel Vermas is saying it's all about quality, not quantity. I fully agree, Daniel. Absolutely. Hoy Height and Paul is saying, trying to stay with my same whiskey schedule. Good for you. It is. These are difficult times, and there are no schedules or structure to the days all of a sudden. Even with the kids, the schooling thing, it's hard to discipline them and put that structure in place when probably they're going through quite anxious and uncomfortable times too. It's bizarre for them not to be at school and things, I think. Anyway, Let's Drink Whiskey is saying, cheers, folks. And Ross Fudd is saying everything in moderation. I agree. Freddie D is saying, I'm under consuming from the fact I have such a hard time opening bottles. You could teach me then, Freddie, because I have far too easy a time opening bottles, I have to say. But that's the fun for me. I'm always super curious. I only drink when I see your face, so I'm in the clear. Thanks, Jimmy. You're seeing a lot of it just now. Orange Will is saying, I experimented with your filling the Glencairn above the bulge and putting the bottle further away. Just got pished and had sore legs. So the idea is you don't go running back to the bottle, that you have one dram, you sit on the couch and you try and eke it out. And, you know, by pouring yourself that fatter dram, you're programming yourself that you're having a big whiskey, and the intention is for you to sit with it for the evening and see. But yes, I hear you, and I'm there with you, my friend. Sunday Evening Scotch is saying, we also have far too many bottles open as well. We have a bunch of wounded zebras, as the Scotch 4 Dummies would say. Absolutely. Bottles running low that need to be put out of their misery. Absolutely. Get your hunting cap on, get your rifle out, and take out the wounded zebras. Whiskey Crusaders, Matt is saying, you too, Roy. Absolutely, Matt. Everything is good here so far, my friend. We've only got a few more weeks, I think, to navigate through the worst of this thing. I don't think it's peaked yet for us. Multi-Haggis Muncher is saying, I had a virtual Kingsbarns tasting last week, 7 drams, mostly 60% territory. I hope it was enjoyable for you, Matthew. I hope it was worthwhile. Jean de la Cuisine, his lockdown has certainly increased my whiskey consumption. Yeah, Jean, you know what? That's fine. Awareness, it's just all about awareness. If you know that it has, if you're measuring and if you're conscious of it, at least you can probably mitigate some of it and kind of put in little changes and things to keep yourself healthy. But there's an argument for keeping yourself, you know, comfortable and healthy and happy despite everything that's going on. And if you want to hang out with some whiskey friends, some whiskey folk, virtually whatever it may be, and enjoy a dram, but just be careful that we're not having too much quantity. As Daniel said, quality, not quantity. Jimmy like is saying co-caring time, yes. And Matt is saying, yes, I like to open all the bottles. Crispine is saying, I just use a straw. Lol, just kidding. Fantastic. So I'm gonna keep it light and neat tonight. We're an hour and a half in, so it's time to switch it up and head over to the quiz. Still over 200 of you hanging out with me on a Sunday night. I do love it, and I very much appreciate all the support. Even when I don't bring content, it's just a relaxed hangout like this. I really do. Thursday coming up for the vPub. I haven't set the theme yet. Keep your eye on the channel and the social media output for whatever topic is going to come up on Thursday. There's a couple of things, but I'm kind of enjoying having some guests in right now. So at least maybe every other scheduled vPub, I would like to have a guest. And I know that Fred Lang on Thursday last week went down very, very well. Everybody loved hanging out with Fred for a while. I'm not suggesting I can get somebody as engaging and as endearing as Fred to listen to every show, but I'm always trying to bring somebody that can bring some kind of value. Everybody's shouting for the quiz already. I appreciate the folk that like to stay and hang out for the quiz. It's an easy one tonight. Some of the questions are easy tonight. There's at least one easy question tonight. Jeanette Della Cuisine is saying, true, I've also increased my time on home trainer, hoping the two cancel each other out. Absolutely. Wayne McCoy is saying, Aquavita, I've discovered that Sundays have been my dry day. I don't seem to reach for any whiskey on Sundays. Then I go back to it on a Monday. You do what's working for you, Wayne, and you have to, the only person that can take care of it and take control is yourself. And if having the Sunday break is working for you, I hear where you're coming from. For me, depending on where I'm putting out content, depending on where I'm sitting here kind of doing something whiskey focused, I can't always follow a strict timetable or schedule. So I kind of play it by days and I say, right, okay, I've got the next couple of days free. I'll take a wee break. And that's what's coming up. So despite all the content I've been putting out or been involved with recently, I haven't actually been drinking a lot. Fraser Bell is saying, great job on the lockdown festival. Loved the Glen slot. Good guy and some good insights. Yes, that was Ian from Glen and I spent some time with Ian last year at a Tom and Tell tasting as well, and he was pretty engaging too. Good guy, really good guy. I've got to run and fire up the grill for dinner, says Molasses Aquaviti. Thanks for giving us another outlet for our obsession. I'll be cracking open the Timorous Beast at 18 in your honour. I think that you are going to enjoy that. I'll warn you now, it's Moorish. It's very Moorish. Jay Francis is saying, bought a bottle of the North Star series while it was on sale at Master and Malt. It was going for about something ridiculous, like £70. Going to keep it sealed until after the lockdown and share it with friends. Nice way to celebrate the end of this. Good for you, Shay. Everyone is saying, good to see everyone. Need celebrity guests all the time. Fraser Bell is saying, I caught yours, Fraser, thank you. Ross Fudd is saying, you've been raising the bar on yourself these last few weeks. Much appreciated. Might be difficult to keep it up, Ross, but bear with me and I'll do the very, very best I can. Eric is saying, you have said quizzes are easy before and then have a few banana skins show up. Yeah, Eric, that's why I'm kind of giving a wee kind of sideways glance and a wink. Some of the questions will be easy. Okay, let's roll into the quiz. And thanks to everybody for all your support recently. All of this can only happen because of the support that I receive through you guys inside these events, these evenings, especially to my fantastic patrons and things. That's how it exists. The support that you've shown me recently, your attendance in the vPubs, your comments, your feedback, your direct messages, turning up in your droves to support in the lockdown festival as well. Honestly, I don't think I'll tire ever of saying thank you. I absolutely love it. Okay, let's roll into the quiz and wish everybody the best. No prizes, multiple choice as always. You're just playing against yourself. Keep your own score, and wish everybody the best of luck. My wife's machine is just about to fall over. I hope it works. Question 1. Tom and Tell has a peated range of whiskies. Look at the way I'm spelling whiskies. That's how fast I must Fantastic. Wikis called what? What is Tom and Tell's range of peated wikis called? A. Balachan, B. Kubokan, C. Old Balintruan. Now I need to keep the chat up front. Let me move this window over here so I can see you guys. Wikis. Mark Goins is saying he likes wikis. I like wiki too, Mark. Tom and Tell, did they bring out a peated expression called Balechan, Kubokan, or Old Balintruan? I can tell you that you're already way ahead of me on this easy opener. It's absolutely C, Old Balintruan. Greg's Whisky Guide. If it wasn't mentioned only by me during the live, Roy. Yes. During the Tom and Tell presentation, we should have asked them to touch on it, but I think by the time it was Claire at the end that she was. I thought Claire was great, by the way. She was sharing the Tom and Tell expressions with us. I gave her some difficult questions to answer, talking about presentation. Some of the ranges at 46, some of the ranges down at 40. That's kind of difficult, but she did really, really well. But we just didn't have time to talk about the peated stuff. But if you answered C for Old Balintruan, you're absolutely right as we go into question 2 and ask which Speyside distillery often uses an abandoned railway station as a distillery shop. I think it's a tricky one unless you've been there. But there's an old railway station. Of course, the reason that Speyside actually exists, one of the reasons is the access by railway. But a lot of these railways are not used anymore now that the road network is so robust. So this is disused. Is it A, Tamdu, B, Nakandu, or C, Benriach? Which Speyside distillery occasionally uses an old abandoned railway station as its distillery shop? You guys are so knowledgeable. So I only discovered this today when I'm researching this quiz. I think, oh, they're not going to know this. They're not going to know this. And look at you, so many of you. Greg's admitting that he's given it a pure guess. Eric Evanson is saying he's following the crowd, but that tells you immediately that, yes, it is Tamdu. Tamdu use the old Nakandu, actually. So Nakandu's a distillery as well, of course, owned by Diageo. But the railway station, the disused railway station, is Nakandu railway station. And Tamdu occasionally will use it as maybe an event space, a distillery shop, a place to sell bottles and things like that. Whiskey Novice is admitting that he's just following the crowd. Well, that's the thing about the banana skin. When everybody follows the crowd and everybody jumps in thinking, oh, it must be that. That is, and when they get caught out and it isn't that, that's when they realise that they've happened upon a banana skin. Our baggy is saying that he has been there. Question 3. Which of these distilleries do not release a regular organic expression? Do not have an organic expression? A, Deanston, B, Balmainach, or C, Benromach? 2 of these distilleries have a standard release, organic. You can buy it pretty much all the time, not expensive. Both of them are very good. A couple of you have got this wrong, I have to say, but the vast majority are right on the money. Deanston have a 15-year-old organic. Their first release was 14-year-old. Benromach have an organic expression as well. I believe there's to be no age statement. But Balmainach do not have an organic release. Well, certainly not that I'm aware of. I don't think they do. Suddenly doubting myself. Anyway, if you answered B, that's the correct answer. As we roll into question 4. Try and get through it quite quickly tonight. Floor maltings at Bamore are said to contribute how much towards the final output of the distillate? So Lefroy, Bamore, Kilchoman all have floor maltings over in Islay, but none of them are like Springbank. None of them can provide all the malt that they need. But what percentage can Bowmore make in its own floor maltings to go towards its production? A, less than 10%, B, around 15%, or C, around 30%? No Googling, please stay here, please hang out, please just answer. Bowmore, 10%, 15%, 30%. I don't see a crowd pattern for this one. I can see a bit of guesswork going on. Reeking Haddocks is suggesting that it's a banana skin. Yeah. Let's see if I can drop in the banana skin emoji. McAllen Finery is saying no C. Maybe you're changing your mind, Doc. I can tell you that I was surprised to discover that at Bowmore they are actually able to make around 30% of their requirement. I guess that it's true for Laphroaig, Bowmore, and a little bit for Kilhoman as well, that it's just kind of nice to have the floor maltons there, gives them an added depth, dimension, bit of flexibility, something that they can do in-house a little bit. But I think one of the biggest draws is the kind of tourism aspect, the fact that people can get their hands dirty with floor maltings. They can physically use the tools. They can grab the barley, hold it in their hands. They can see an on-site operating kiln, especially on Isla. It's fantastic to see. But I was surprised that as much as 30%, almost a third of Bowmore is taken care of in-house. It is a lot. I agree with you, Jumping Whale. It is a lot. Fraser Bell is raging. Mark Goins is saying 4 out of 4. I quit. Never done this well before. I told everyone it's maybe a wee bit easier tonight. Maybe a wee bit easier. Here we come to the image question. Maybe potentially a banana skin here. And tell me which still house are we looking at here? Very nice, big, squat, stubby stills. Are we looking at Colilla, Bowmore, or Laphroaig? Which still house are we looking at here? A, Colilla, B, Bowmore, C, Laphroaig. I would like to think I could get this one looking at this. I've certainly been here a few times, but I might have been able to talk myself out of it. I'm not sure. Graham Fraser is saying, supping the Deanston Virgin Oak now, Roy. A first Virgin Oak for me at a reasonable price too. Loving the freshness of it. A favourite of yours. I have to say, when it comes to non-age statement whiskies, I do like the Deanston Virgin Oak because it does have that extra grip with 46.3% brings along. It is quite a sweet whiskey. I think it can behave a little kind of some of the flavors notes in it are quite bourbon-esque. But yes, I've recommended it often. I think it is a good price point, and I think it's very, very decent on the presentation as well. Lots of people saying Laphroaig. I have to say that the crowd seem to think that we're looking at the Laphroaig still house, but I have to say we're actually looking at Bowmore. So if you answered Bowmore for B, give yourself a point. I imagine that lots of people are going to be a wee bit upset about that. Chris Beaton is saying got it. Mark Gons is on 5 out of 5 still. Last minute change for the win from Steve A. Superb. Okay. Whiskey Novice is raging. 2 out of 5. Alistair Gray, 3 out of 5. Good to see you, Alistair. Mark Brown, 3 out of 5. Scott Allen. How's Becky, Scott? I hope you're both keeping well. Malt Punk, 4 out of 5. Matt 69, 2 out of 5. Oh dear. Okay, that's us just past the halfway point. Desi is in. Fantastic, Desi. Good to see you. 3 out of 5. Aquavita upset is an understatement. Oh dear. You're only... okay. It might get a wee bit trickier before it gets better. I'm sorry, Desi. Question 6. Which of these is a real English distillery? A, circumstance distillery. B, situation distillery. C, predicament distillery. No Googling, please. This has got to be a fast one. Is it A, circumstance, B, situation, or C, predicament? One of those is a real English distillery. The other two, not so much. Figments of Aquavita's imagination. Never heard of them. Brico Tener. Okay, quickly, I can tell you to put you out your misery. that we're looking for A, Circumstance Distillery. Menno's really upset. I apologise. You're making me feel terrible. Oh dear. I'm taking a bit of heat for this one. I can tell you that down in Bristol there is a distillery, a young distillery, very experimental, called Circumstance Distillery. And I haven't happened upon any of their products. But yes, there is a distillery in Bristol called Circumstance. Jimmy Legg, how many litres per annum? Very small. Very small, Jimmy. Jimmy Jazz is right. We need something stronger than a mere banana. Okay, I'll see what I can do in the emoji front. We need some non-offensive inspirational thinking. Question 7, everyone. Lone Wolf Distillery in Ellen recently changed its name to what? Lone Wolf Distillery changed its name to A, Brewwolf, B, Brewdog, C, Brew King. What did Lone Wolf Distillery in Ellen change its name to? Jimmy Legg is saying that's my question on my quiz for you. 1 out of 6, Dave. Will this running streak continue? Oh, you're going to struggle to hit the pass mark. Eric Evanson is saying, I see why you winked and nodded. Sorry, Eric. Well, I've had some direct messages to suggest that the quizzes are getting a wee bit soft. Some folk are starting to think it's a bit easy, but I actually think that the quizzes are tough. And it's just that the crowd are so knowledgeable because we're getting lots of 10 out of 10s. Moose76 is in with a toilet roll emoji. I absolutely love it. Jimmy Legg is saying B, also a bad one. I have to say that, Jimmy, if you're answering B, you're absolutely right. It's changed. They've changed their name to Brewdog. Brewdog is a parent company, very well known for their craft beer. Lone Wolf was the distillery they set up, but they've recently changed it to Brewdog Distilling. I think there's some strategy behind it as well. Eric Waite is saying people can always use the poo emoji. Nice one, Eric. Ben Demon Hunter is saying, just listening while driving, finding the banana skins hilarious. Getting water. Cheers, Ben. I don't mind John Delacuisine having your swear word. I understand your frustration, my friend, so that's been cleared for you. Neil Cochrane is even admitting that he's struggling tonight on 4 out of 7. Now I'm starting to feel a wee bit difficult. Fraser Bell is saying too easy, mind blown, ignore those folk, Aquaviti. Jimmy Legg is saying, I'd rather have questions that are hard but about something I care about, the more you learn. Well, I hope that I provide that in some way, Jimmy Legg, but asking you about Circumstance Distillery in Bristol is a bit of a stretch, I do admit, from time to time. But perhaps there you go, you've learned that there's another English distillery out there. There's quite a few craft English distilleries coming along. One of them is called Circumstance. 8, which distillery was once marketed as the Pearl of Speyside? This is hard. And yet, A, Tormore, B, Tom and Towel, or C, Tamnavulin? I think those answers, the potential answers, make it a wee bit easier. So we're talking about something that was marketed, obviously, as a single malt in its own right, but it was once marketed as the Pearl of Speyside. If I can help you a little bit, it was a 12-year-old product and it was on sale in the early 2000s through to about 2010, I think, I guess, of that order. So it's not anymore. It was the 12-year-old. It's a different expression they've got out now, marketing themselves no longer as the Pearl of Speyside, but when it was a 12-year-old, they did. Gino, Graham Young, Island Hopper Stewart, Antony Kozinski. Good to have you in, Antony. Or Anthony, it would be. Erwin Lim, Multi-Mission, Whiskey Novice, Desi Vleeland, Falsgraf, Neil Cochrane, all answering A and getting it absolutely right. I can tell you that it indeed is Tormore. Whiskey Throttle Daniel is in. He got it right. Willie Dolier, Stewie Baby did as well. Eric Evanson, well done. Olaf, my friend, thank you so much for your recent Patreon support. Wonderful to have you in here as well. Also getting it correct. Well done, Ernie, as well on A for Tormore. Second to last question. The three historical parts of Peter Mackey's White Horse blend were Lagavulin, Craigellachie, and what else? Now, this is a famous story. Peter Mackey, Restless Peter Mackey, one of the most famous characters in the history of Scotch whisky, manager at Lagavulin, also the guy behind the White Horse blend as well, put these three core components together, which I think still are the three backbone core components for a White Horse to this day. But I'm asking what it is. Lagavulin, Craigellachie, and A, Glenelgin, B, Glenord, or C, Glenkinchie. So I've given you a choice of three Diageo distilleries: Glenelgin in Speyside, Glenord in the Highlands, and Glenkinchie in the Lowlands. What was the third main component to the White Horse blend? I need to get my hands on a bottle of White Horse. Maybe a White Horse will replace my blend once this Cato's. There's only maybe one or two drinks left in this Cato's bottle. See what White Horse is doing these days. A little bit of smoke in it. People guessing heavily here. This is a definite banana skin. Definite banana skin. I'm going to lose a lot of friends, a lot of supporters. Some people maybe lose some subscribers and patrons and people really taking a huff with this quiz tonight. But I can tell you that you need to be answering A to get a point on this one. Glenelgin is the third leg of the tripod for Peter Mackey's famous White Horse blend. The infamous Peter Mackey and the famous White Horse blend. Glenelgin, Lagavulin, and Craigellachie are the makeup. Fabulous history. If you ever find yourself wanting to research some very interesting Scotch history stories, White Horse, Peter Mackey, Lagavulin, super interesting. Question 10, Kuboken's Creation #1 edition. Now, this was in Saturday's Whisky Lockdown Festival. Features Black Isle Imperial Stout casks alongside what? Creation #1 from Kuboken. It was the last presentation of the day. Maybe you were tired by then. Maybe you had run out of ink in your pen, lead in your pencil. Is it A, Moscatel casks, B, Madeira casks, or C, Shochu casks? Is it Shochu? Shochu? I learned it was Japanese distilled spirit. Jimmy Legg is scratching his head saying, oh shit. Fraser Bell is saying, I'm shifting my Patreon support over to someone with easier quizzes. I don't blame you, Fraser. I completely understand, my friend. Thank you for your support while you were here. Can I just mention as well to anybody that's inside Patreon, I'll mention it again, I'm putting your credits at the end of the videos, the live streams as well. I'm listing your name. There are Patreon supporters I've had out there for a long time that don't have their name listed, and that's not because they've it's because they've not selected a tier. If you want your name displayed at the end of the videos, just get in touch with me directly. We'll either get you in a tier that does that, or I'll just add you to a list that I know to add your name. If you're not in a tier, I assume that you're looking for some kind of anonymity, or you don't want to claim the rewards of that tier. That's what that's about. It's not because I don't want to give you credit for your Patreon support. Thank you to all my amazing, facilitating, wonderful, dedicated patrons. But I can tell you that what you're looking for here, Alistair Gray has changed his mind by the looks of things to Moscatel, and it's absolutely correct. So they're using Imperial Stout casks and also Moscatel casks. Creation #2 uses the Shochu, and the Madeira casks I simply made up. So if you've answered A, give yourself a point, and let us know, share what the scores are. What is the damage tonight? Whiskey Jason. Oh, wow. Jason, please don't hold it against me, my friend. 2 out of 10. Wonderful for you to admit. 5 out of 10, at least it's a pass. Shochu was Creation 2. Correct. Steve A is saying, bah, he's not too happy. Too slow, 4. Ross Fudd, 5. Steve A, 6. Wow. Lunar managed to scrape a pass mark. The quiz has, the chat has jumped. Eric Evanson is happy. Whatever he scored, he's happy about it. Daniel Vermaas is on 8. Big score, Daniel. Jimmy Jazz, 3. Lee Kerwin, 5. So, Daniel Vermaas is looking like the highest so far. Freddie D, Falsgraf on 7. Lindsay Holman, good to see you, Lindsay, on 4. Rico on 2. We should have a serious discussion, my friend. Tabitha Adams, 5 out of 10, very poor. I've made a lot of friends tonight. I hope you forgive me. Everwind, 5 out of 10, poor guessing tonight. Anthony Kaczynski, 8, matching Daniel. Peter Box on 7, good scoring, Peter. Good scoring, Anthony, as well. Gino on 7. Looking to see if anybody has managed to sneak any better. Jimmy Legg, no, damn it, that's my fault. The Alchemist, 7 out of 10. Well done, Sevi. Good for you. Okay. It looks like Daniel Vermaas and Anthony both take the spoils tonight on 8 out of 10. That was deliberate tonight. I did purposely put in easy ones right at the beginning. Still potential banana skins, of course, but then it got a wee bit harder as the quiz went on. I apologise. I hope it was still a bit of fun for you. I hope you don't mind that occasionally you get brutalised. You've just got to roll with the punches a little bit with the quiz. It won't always be like that. And I have to say, I continually say this, and I know that you all understand that putting together the quizzes is not always very easy, and I don't deliberately create easy or difficult quizzes. I try and always mix it up a little bit, and I always try and go for fun more than anything else. But I know you hate me and you don't listen to me. Whiskey Mystery is saying, thank you, Phil. We give you 10 out of 10, though, Aquavite. Thank you so much. Daniel Vermaas was not easy. Have a fruit basket, has some more fruit on it. Whiskey Novice is saying, at least we can walk away having learned something, that you're evil. Thank you, Jim. Yes. Precarious Davis saying, swats. Jimmy's going to send me some poop in an envelope, and Ing is saying, banana skins with ass hats. Fantastic. Listen, guys, this is an absolute pleasure for me to just burn an easy 2 hours with you, hanging out with you on a Sunday evening, doing nothing much other than just kind of honestly just shooting the shit about whiskey. It's great fun. I'm very, very grateful to have you there and to have so many of you joining right until the end. I bet there's still over 186 of you still in, even after a really frustrating, annoying quiz like that as well. I hope that it continues to be fun for you. The content is coming thick and fast. I'm just doing what I can. This is not charged. This is free. This is patrons don't pay for the content that goes out on a Sunday night. Everybody, this is public and open and free to everyone. It's just me bringing some extra time to hang out together, because the obvious thing, we don't want to talk about the C word. And I hope you get something out of it. I hope you appreciate it. And as long as you do, I'll continue to try my very, very best to bring it. Jimmy Jazz is saying 3 out of 10, The Alchemist. Better luck next time. Freddie D is saying, my first live ever. Loved it. Freddie, this is a very relaxed, different vibe for the live. I'm very glad that you loved it, and I hope you come back and hang out with us on Thursday night as well, my friend. P-Head is saying, thanks for another fine vPub. Thank you, P-Head. Ben Demon Hunter saying, I'm laughing so hard I'm almost crying. Chris Beaton is saying, always fun, Roy. Fraser Bell saying, night all. Sleep well, stay safe, slant you. Fantastic sentiment. Alistair Gray saying, thanks for all your hard work this weekend. I'm going to reach into the sample thing, and I'll pour it once you've gone. I'm going to have, as I wind down tonight, before I go upstairs, I'm going to be having this Bunnahabhain PX 14-year-old 3 months, 14 year and 3 months, 54.3%. I don't know who it's from because the name isn't on it as well, but it looks like one of the pour your own or hand bottled Bunnahabhain releases. Bunnahabhain PX. I think it's going to be a good one. Guys, fantastic. I'll see everyone on Thursday night. If you're trying to get in touch with me in between times, you know how to do that, whiskey@aquavite.com, and through all the regular social media and direct messaging channels. Thank you for everything. Thank you for hanging out with me tonight. Thank you for all your support over recent vPubs this weekend and the Lockdown Festival yesterday. It was wonderful to have you all in support, and I look very much forward to welcome you again on Thursday evening for perhaps a bit more structured vPub, and I'm making no promises on the quiz. Thank you all, you wonderful, wonderful whiskey folk, you dedicated barflies. You're very dearly loved. Slancheva.